All right, welcome everyone. I'm Gina, and today we are going to do some stretching, some breathing, and some meditation. So I'll invite you first to come to a really comfortable seat, whether that's on your chair or on your mat or on the floor, wherever you are is perfect. And just think about making yourself tall but relaxed. So maybe rolling the shoulders together and down the back, bringing the shoulder blades in, thinking about lifting the chest up, and thinking about where your spine is in space and seeing if you can get the spine directly over the hips. There's sometimes a tendency to lean forward a little bit, especially if we're driving or carrying things or typing or doing all the things in modern daily life. And then I thought we would start with a little bit of stretching and activity in the face. So we'll start with the jaw. This is a place where a lot of people hold tension, and we'll just chew like a camel. So moving the jaw one side and the other side, opening and closing, seeing how this feels. You might hear some pops and clicks in the jaw. That's fine as long as there's no pain. I'm gonna do a couple more rounds of this. I know it looks silly, but it's actually really nice to loosen up those muscles in the face. And then our first breathing exercise will simply be a yawn. As big and as long as you like. Take another couple yawns. They're contagious and they're really good for us. It's really restorative and rejuvenative, and you get a lot of air in and stretches out your jaw. And feel free to let an audible exhale out from your yawn. And then I'll invite you to move the tongue around in the mouth. So keeping the teeth separated just a little bit so that you're not clenching the jaw. Just rolling the tongue back and forth. Maybe rolling the tongue over the teeth, between the teeth and the lips. Maybe rolling the tongue into a tube if you can. Not everybody's tongue will do that. And just feeling how the tongue feels today. The tongue is actually a big muscle. It does a lot of work for us. And it's nice to, stretch it out a little bit. And then our second breathing exercise will be the lion's breath. So taking an inhale through the nose and exhaling through the mouth with an open mouth, tongue out. And we'll do two more like that, inhaling through the nose. And an open mouth exhale. And then one more in your own time. And then if you like, we'll do a little bit of facial massage around the temples, around the eyebrows, over to the sides of the head, maybe into the scalp if that feels good. And this can be whatever. If you like a firm massage, then really press the fingers into the scalp. If you would like to just gently brush the fingers against the scalp, that's fine too. Maybe you work your way behind the ears and down into the neck. This is a space where we hold loads of tension, and there's some really simple things you can do. You can walk your fingers like little ants up and down your neck, or you can use more of a pushing and manipulating where you're pressing into the muscles. Or you can be static. Maybe you find a spot that's really tense and you just linger there and just put a little bit of pressure on that tender spot, breathing into that spot. And usually the tenderness melts just a little bit. And again, we're not aiming for perfection. We're just aiming for even 1% better than we were. And so giving yourself a little face and neck massage, it helps stimulate the blood flow. It helps release a bit of tension. And it also just feels good. There's a lot of benefits to touch. And we often think, well, that must mean someone else touching us. But it can also be self-touch. It's just as good, as just as powerful. All right, and then we'll do a bit of stretching of our ocular muscles. There are so many muscles that attach to the eye. And so first I'll just suggest that we close the eyes, kind of like really close them tight and open them up, and really close them tight and relax and open them up. And then one more, closing the eyes tight. And then keeping them closed, but relaxing them in their sockets. And then with the eyes closed, we'll move around the clock up to 12 and back to neutral. And over to 3 o'clock and back to neutral. And down to 6 o'clock and back to neutral. And over to 9 o'clock and back to neutral. And then up to 10 o'clock and back to neutral. And down to 7 and back to neutral. Down to 5 and back to neutral. And up to 2 o'clock and back to neutral. And then just rest here for a moment, finding the breath, relaxing into the breath. Where do you feel it? Is it coming in the nose or the mouth? Can you feel it in the chest? Can you feel it in your back body? Can you let the intercostal muscles of the back of the lungs expand and contract? These don't have to be big, deep breaths. We're just noticing. And then can you invite the breath down into the belly? And again, it doesn't have to be the biggest breath of your day, just allowing the diaphragm to work, letting the belly rise on the inhale and letting it sink on the exhale. And then if you have an intention, a state of being that you are trying to cultivate more of in your life, state it in the present tense and send it out into the universe. I am living in this present moment. I am patient with myself and others. I am enjoying all of the little things that life brings to me, whatever it is, big or small. Send it out to the universe. We hold these things lightly, and we know that sometimes they take a long time to cultivate, and that's okay. And then on your next inhale, we're going to turn our breathing into a little bit of retention. So inhaling and then holding the breath at the top. Exhaling for about the same amount. And then inhaling again. So we're turning our in and out into kind of a triangle, upside down triangle. Inhaling. Holding the breath at the top for about the same amount of time. Exhaling. And then inhaling again. And some people like to count, so maybe you count to 3 or 4 or 5. What we don't want to do is introduce stress into the body. So start with a low number if you are counting, and increase it only if the body is not in a panic response, right? We want to be gentle. We want to hold the breath and then let the breath out slowly, not a big whoosh. And inhale calmly, not a big gasp. And then holding the breath at the top, just seeing how it feels. And when you're ready, exhaling. And we'll do 2 more rounds like this. And take your time, but whenever you get to your next exhale, we're going to add a retention at the bottom. So turning our inverted triangle into a square or a box. So inhaling for 4 or 5 seconds, holding the breath at the top for 4 or 5 seconds, exhaling for 4 or 5 seconds, and holding the breath at the bottom for 4 or 5 seconds. And you decide what feels good in your body. The more you work with the breath, the more the breath wants to work with you. And just go slow with yourself. Be gentle with yourself. If you're doing 3 seconds, that's great. This box breathing really regulates our parasympathetic nervous system. This is a style of a breathing technique that's used by Navy SEALs, which I know, meditation and the military, you don't always think of these things as going together, but it helps them regulate their heartbeat. It helps them regulate their respiratory, how fast they're breathing. It helps keep them calm and collected on missions that might be dangerous or might have, that they need to keep their fear in check. And so maybe we're not doing something dangerous, but our fear response still shows up when we see the caller ID and it's someone we don't want to talk to, or when we get some news that maybe is disappointing, or even just when we have a busy day and we know that there's so many things to do. Sometimes all of that can provoke a fear response. And so doing some box breathing, inhaling, holding the breath at the top, exhaling, and holding the breath at the bottom can help us return to this place of homeostasis where we are not in panic mode. Instead, we're in a really rational, calm mind state where we can make the next best decision based in a place of, here I am, everything's going to be okay. All I have to do is make the next decision, instead of making those decisions from a place of fear or a place of panic. Seeing if you can extend each side of the box by 1 second. So slowing down the inhale just by a second. Slowing down the retention at the top by a second. Slowing down the exhale by a second. And slowing down the retention at the bottom by a second. And we'll do 3 more rounds like that. Take your time. There is no rush. But at the end of your next exhale, whenever that comes, allow the breathing to return to normal. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose where you can. And once again, assess, where is the breath in my body? Do I feel it in the chest? Do I feel it in the back? Is it in the belly? Is my diaphragm working to help bring the air in and push the air out? Can I feel the air on the upper lip? Can I note which nostril is dominant right now? Remember, we shift back and forth between left and right all day long. And as you are returning into this normal breathing pattern, however the breath wants to breathe you, let's bring the attention into the right half of the body. the right eye and the right cheek, the right side of the neck, and the right shoulder, the right elbow, the right wrist, all of the fingers on the right hand, the right side ribs, the chest, belly on the right hip and the right thigh, the back of the right leg, the knee, the right shin and the right calf, the right ankle, the right foot, and all of the toes on the right foot. The whole right side of the body, from the tips of the toes to the crown of the head, and from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. And then we'll shift our attention to the left side. The left eye and the left cheek, down the left side of the neck into the left shoulder, the left arm, the elbow, the wrist on the left side, the left hand, and all of the fingers on the left. The left chest and the left belly, the left hip, the left thigh and the back of the leg, the left knee, the left shin and the left calf, the left ankle, the left foot, all of the toes on the left side, the whole left side of the body, from the tips of the toes to the crown of the head, and from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes. Inhaling and exhaling, bringing that intention into the inhale, I am, and bringing the intention into the exhale, embodying whatever characteristic you would like more of. Inhale, I am, and exhale, I am patient, or inhale, I am, exhale, self-compassionate. Inhale, I am, and exhale, in this moment. And then slowly bring some movement back into your limbs, into the fingertips, into the toes, into the wrists and the ankles, into the arms, maybe shrugging the shoulders or turning the head, whatever gentle movements feel good as you come back into the room, come back into your day. And then maybe you like to generate a bit of friction on the palms if that feels good, to have a bit of heat. And then gently cup the eyes if they're closed, blinking them open so the light comes in gently. Thanks for practicing with me today.